Hello and welcome to Robin Minds. My name is Hero Daniels. Many thanks for joining us. Last week, Nigerians took the heat of the politicians and focused on the drama in the aviation sector. Let me just start by saying that most Nigerians are badly behaved. First, it was Senator Oshomole who allegedly stopped the boarding of passengers because he arrived late. Then, it was Kwam1 versus Value Jet Airlines. Recently, Miss Comforts versus E-Bomb Airlines. The young lady was seen physically assaulting the air hostess. Bad behavior. Now, according to eyewitnesses, the air hostess allegedly triggered her physically and held her back for not switching off her phone at the beginning of the flight. Previous passengers have also talked about that particular air hostess and how unprofessional and badly behaved she is. And instead of the airport officials to be civil about the arrest, they decided to violate her rights to privacy and public dignity, and they put out her privates to the public. Badly behaved officials. She was arrested, and there was a public outcry to get her released since nothing happens to Senator Oshomole and Kwam1. And of course, we all know that she was arrested in an undignified way. No matter what side of the divide you belong to, I think we can all agree on a pattern here. Nigerians are badly behaved, from the people in the power to the citizens. And I think we need to start taking accountability for our actions and do better. Leadership is not just about those in government. Every citizen is a leader in some capacity. The way we lead in our daily lives and the values we uphold. And that leads me to the discourse for today, exploring collective leadership and Nigeria's governance framework. To discuss this with me in the studio is the Chief Vision Officer, Mentorers Leadership Limited, Babs Olugbemi. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Hiro. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So let's really talk about collective leadership. You know, as citizens, what sort of leadership attributes should we display?
Okay, that's a very good starting point. I want to put context to this discussion. We are discussing effective collective leadership and the governance framework in Nigeria. When I think about Nigeria, I see Nigeria as a company that wants to scale up, but that has no structure, that has no policy, that has no leadership preparation for the bigger structure we want to scale up to. So after the amalgamation, the First Republic, we saw leaders that focus on our 4 lines: religion, ethnicity. And immediately after that, the military came over. The military says we cannot negotiate. That's why you hear the slogan, Nigerian unity is non-negotiable. But I'm very happy no one is saying that again. Then we moved to the Second Republic. Military came again, and we have added corruption. We have added personal interest. We have added everything into it. So I want to tell us we are in a democracy, but we are manifesting what I would call kleptocratic oligarchy.
What does that mean?
Yeah, means few people are in governance, and their personal interest is more important to them above the common interest. And they got to a point where they start appointing people around them, and we don't have control over them. Impunity has come into place. And you see, in leadership, when people see you as their ultimate leader, they see you behave in one specific way, they will replicate that behavior. Any behavior that is not punished will be replicated. So let's look at it this way. We have a drama at the airport, and I'm very familiar with that. In 2022, I was speaking at the West Scotland University, and I used a story. A guy got to the airport, he met a very long queue, and he went to the front of the queue and said, please, I want you to check him in. And the air hostess said, no, you need to join the queue. He said, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Typical Nigerian behavior. Yes. And the air hostess, do you know who I am? I need to be checked into the plane. And the air hostess did what I want all Nigerians to be doing if we have to move this country forward. She picked up the microphone and made an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a gentleman in my front that doesn't know who he is. If there's anyone in the crowd that can come forward to tell him who he is, we will be very grateful. Do you know what happened? Silence ensued. The guy didn't make any comment any longer. So when we see people that come with positional mindset, we have collective responsibility to hold them accountable. So the starting point is people need to stop being pragmatic followers. We need to be very active in holding our leaders accountable.
Okay, so I like the fact that you said we need to be pragmatic about holding our leaders accountable.
Very correct.
We've seen situations where a leader does something that is very bad to the spectacle of everybody. And as opposed to even criticizing it, you now see some blind followers actually hailing that particular leader. Again, it's easier said than done, but how do you think we can genuinely start holding our leaders accountable?
You see, we have a pattern. Most people want to get to leadership position for the sake of getting to the position. And they'll say, oh, I'm an ex-senator, I'm an ex-president. But the question we should be asking ourselves is, we have given you a leadership position. What have you done with that position? Once we shift our focus from position to legacy, what have you done? We start seeing things from different perspectives. So when a leader does something that is bad, it's part of the impunity I've described here, that Nigerian system, the institution we have built, allows strong men above institutions. So what we should be doing is to be calling out those things and be asking for reform that will change the mindset of our leaders.
Well said. Now, we've seen elections come and go, and we've seen that most often than not, what decides the votes is not necessarily the antecedent of the leader. It is more of or less how much people from the grassroots can he reach out to, and how many votes can he buy. Now, leading up to the 2027 election, we're already seeing patterns play out. Now, how can citizens have a shift from what is deemed to be the norm to actually trying to ask the people asking for our votes, what exactly have you done in the time while you were here? What is your antecedent, and how can we believe you that you're going to do better if you're re-elected?
Good question. I said it somewhere. We have short-term memory in Nigeria. And because we have educational imbalance, it's very possible for our political elite to manipulate themselves. It's high time we began to question the sincerity and the intention of our political elite. Let me give you the example. We are in the 2 years into the term of a president, and we have 2 more years to go. And people came up with a coalition saying we want to replace that person in the next 2 years. What do you think is happening? That will be distraction. People will not focus on governance any longer. So from the grassroots level up to every level, we should stop idealizing our leaders. We should start asking them, you did this, what have you used our resources to do? I met a former governor at a point in time, and I was asking him, what are your legacy? What have you done? And he started telling me how many bridges he has built, even in locations where bridges are not needed. And I told him, you didn't tell me how many people you have improved their capacity. You didn't tell me how many people you have taken out of poverty. So it's the right time for us to now look at how we measure our leaders. Then our leadership selection process is very challenging. You've said it. Somebody who can buy vote, who can manipulate him or herself within the party system and get to that position. So this is the time for us to start the education. We need to educate our people.
Now, you mentioned that it's 2 years before the election and some group of politicians came together and formed a coalition, and you faulted that, right?
Not directly.
Okay, so don't you also think that that could be a move owing to the fact that the ruling party have already started campaigning even before they are supposed to campaign? Are there no INEC rules as to when a political party is allowed to officially launch their campaign? But as it stands now, the APC has launched their campaign for 2027.
It's part of the institutional impunity we have in Nigeria. If anyone violates the law, as long as they are in position of governance, what do you see? The law will close their eyes. Selective application of rule of law. So if they are not leading and the opposition is also doing it, it's a balanced game. That's why I said I'm not directly calling out the opposition, but I'm just saying it's not good for us as citizens. It's a distraction to the government. It's a distraction to what we are trying to achieve as in Nigeria.
So how would you score the present government when it comes to leadership?
Well, 2 sides of the coin. One, the reforms are necessary, and the pains we are passing through are what we should pass through. We have seen countries like Bulgaria that pass through similar reform. But I think, in my opinion, it's one-sided. You and I are bearing the brunt of the reform, but the cost of governance is still as high as it was. It's as if nothing is happening on that side. So how do we balance that? You are, as my leader, you are asking me to make sacrifice. You are not making sacrifice. It's as simple as that. It has to be across borders.
Okay. Now let's talk about your new book, Uplifting Leadership. What's the book about?
Well, I'm trying to change leadership narratives. In Africa, we believe leadership is about position, about control, about a big man that is above institution. But I'm trying to say, no, don't let us look at leadership from the positional aspect of it. Let's look at the service and the legacy leaders create. If you are in a leadership position, it doesn't give you authority and power to treat people unruly and speak to them as if they are your slave. But it gives you a platform for you to feel a need to develop people. And let me give context to this. In Nigeria, we're about 233 million people, and all we say is bad leadership, bad leadership. That means there's a leadership gap. So what I'm bringing to the table with that book is to develop enough leaders to prepare people. Nigerians don't prepare for leadership position. I can tell you that for free. I've been an executive coach for some leaders. You discover that when people get to leadership position, they would feel, with this position, I can do whatever I like. I can do any behavior I like. Well, that's not it. In leadership, people are not hearing what you are saying, but they are seeing what you are doing. And what you do, if it's not in line with an established policy or process, it's going to create problems. So that book is shaping leaders. I don't look at the position, look at the character, the values that a leader should possess to be successful in their position. And okay. I want to tell you this. I've proposed that book should be dedicated to 3 individuals, to Dr. Christopher Kolade, Eda Felix Oyiwere, and Mrs. Ifweko Okaru. Okay. Those 3 people have been in position and they've transformed their institution, they've developed people, and they've left legacy in their various organizations.
Okay, so now let's talk about Nigeria's governance framework. Of course, the center holds so much power, and that's why everybody literally just looks at what the president is doing. However, we have the state governors, we have the local government chairman. How effective has Nigerians' governance structure been, especially when it comes to the impact it has on the grassroots?
It has not been effective. So Nigeria is a diverse country, and if you want to compare it with a country, I will take Indonesia, for example. Indonesia have about 700 plus native languages. Nigeria is about 520. But in Indonesia, as diverse as they have one common language, Bahasa Indonesia, that everybody speaks. And that language is like a service and national language in Indonesia. We have Pidgin English, but we've not normalized it as our national language. Now, if you look at the framework we have, it's a very defective framework. A framework where we come with regional and regional and religious mindset for a national problem. It's not going to work. Now, we need somebody who has an inclusive mindset, who will contribute, who will build bridges in Nigeria. We need leaders that will say, okay, we want the dividend of democracy to get to the grassroots. It's not about, I see the current administration saying we are giving more money to the state and to the local government. But what are the accountability measures we have put in place? If you give more money to the state and to the local government where you know there is massive corruption, what do you think will happen to that money? So we need restructuring.
Do you think that is deliberate? Some people are of the school of thought that this current government is investing heavily in the political structure. So do you think it's deliberate? So the governors have more money, the local government's chairman have more money. Do you think it's more for infrastructure, or is it to enable and secure 2027?
That's why the institutional framework we have is very defective. We have people that are stronger than the institution. Now, if you are giving local government and state governments more money, there should be metrics. There should be what you need to do with those money that will be measured nationally. But that is not in place as far as I know. So whether it is deliberate or not, the fact remains that it's a form of decentralization where local government who are closer to the people have more fun to execute projects. Not only projects. You know, in this country, we focus too much on infrastructure. Yes, there are infrastructure gaps, but we need to develop our people. Imagine China with 1.4 billion population, and you are saying they have population and they are not productive. So if you have population and that population is not productive, it's a waste of time. So those money we should hold the state governors and the local government councillor or chairman accountable for how those money is spent. That's how when we can make progress.
In previous dispensation, the opposition parties have been quite useful in terms of criticizing and holding the government accountable, but it seems like we do not even have opposition parties in Nigeria. Why is that?
Okay, you should fear a man that has never defected to any party and that has built his own party or in coalition with other people and gets to the power. That's a very intelligent and strong personality. Now, this opposition we are having, when I see them speaking, I don't see credible opposition in terms of challenging policy. I see people who will claim they have my interest at heart, but indirectly, they are missing the power, they are missing the position. So credible opposition is lacking. Secondly, you know, Nigeria, we have short-term memories when it comes to holding leaders accountable. So if you are coming to me and you are saying you are an alternative to something, I know we should have alternative. I'm not on any side of the divide, but I should be asking you. I remember you are a state governor at a point. I remember you hold this position. What do you do with that position? Until we began to hold people accountable with what they have used the leadership platform to do in the past, we are joking.
Now, let's now talk about generational leadership. Of course, the generation before us, now the millennials are gradually getting into power. We have the younger generation, which is the Gen Z, and some people believe that this generation, they are bold, and sometimes they overstep boundaries. Like, take, for example, what happened with the young lady, Miss Comfort versus Ibom Airlines, and Kate Henshaw gave her take on Twitter, and a Gen Z person, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, decided to sort of air her opinion or his opinion, but added insult to it. I think the person tweeted, "Shut up," right? So now, can you talk about this generation in workplaces? Do you like their boldness? And is there a limit to what they can do or what they shouldn't do? Is respect a thing for them?
Okay, I think they will call it Gen Z vibes, right? Vibes is not something that is totally wrong. It's an unrefined energy, and you see a lot of Gen Z demonstrating that. To say somebody should shut up is very disrespectful and dismissive. It shouldn't be tolerated. But when you see Gen Z, especially the leaders among them, showing vibes without values, you will see leaders that are loud, but they are not thick. They don't have the content, and I've seen a lot of that in my work as a leadership coach. They want to be seen everywhere. They want to show their position. They do things that if not even in the interest of their team or organization. Now, what we need to do is to first know that this Gen Z, they have their own characteristic. We should understand them, and having understanding them, we should know that if you empower them, if you respect them, and you channel their energy into the right cause, and you put values into them, because in leadership, where there is no value, there is no leadership. If you hold them accountable that this is the value I want, this is the outcome I want, I know you have this energy, go and get this done for me, they can be channeled into productive venture, and you can see them, they can be bold, fearless, and they can be tech savvy, and they can drive change in Africa.
All right, thank you very much, Babs Olugbemi. Enjoy this session and enjoy the rest of your day. Robin Mind continues after this break. Stay with us. And of course, how citizens can emulate the right kind of leadership and how we should lead our daily lives. Right about now, we want to talk about Nigeria. Nigeria is facing a complex mix of economic, social, and security challenges that are testing the resilience of its people and its institution. Inflation is eroding purchasing power, unemployment remains stubbornly high, and poverty continues to affect millions, despite various government interventions. Insecurity ranging from banditry to insurgency persists from across different regions in this country. And while we trust in public institutions and the electoral process, sometimes remains fragile. So we just really want to talk about creating, maintaining, and upgrading infrastructure specifically in this country. And joining me in the studio is a maritime business owner, Chibo Ebuka. Welcome to the program.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So we want to talk about infrastructure, right? But I'm gonna get back to you, right? I'm gonna get back to you right now. So getting back to what we just talked about, we really need to take the infrastructural development of Nigeria very seriously, because we see leaders that would come out and say, we're going to use a certain amount of money to actually develop infrastructure, and then they get, after they get the funds, you see that they underuse the fund, and at the end of the day, we're being given something that is not standard. And then 2 years down the line, 6 months down the line, they get back to saying that we need this certain amount of money to actually do the same thing that we took monies to do. So we're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll discuss this in details with our guest in the studio. Robin Mind continues after this break. Welcome back to Robin Minds. We're still discussing infrastructure in Nigeria. The numbers are scary. The FCC Minister, Nyesom Wike, spent 39 billion naira to renovate the ICC, the International Conference Center. New Third Mainland Bridge earmarked 3.6 trillion. And the old renovation was done at about 21 billion naira about 9 months ago. The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road, 4 billion naira per kilometer. So, I have a guest in the studio, maritime business owner, Chibo Ebuka.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
These numbers are scary, to say the least.
Okay.
Because how did we renovate the Third Mainland Bridge 9 months ago at a whopping 21 billion? And now, we want to spend 3.6 trillion on the bridge again.
Okay, so I guess I'll say something. When it comes to Nigeria, because of how badly our government in quote has been doing, when they do something right, I think we don't still see it. For you, the amount sounds outrageous, but it's not really outrageous. You're aware of the whole thing that happened in the Maryland Bridge in the US with the ship crashing the bridge? You know how much it used to fix that bridge? It's just a portion that you're fixing. Not to talk about the $100 million that was spent in taking out the debris, but they're using almost $2 billion to fix just that portion alone. Now convert that money in Naira. So it's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched at all.
So you're trying to tell us that the numbers, the amount of money earmarked for this project are the exact amounts being spent.
What's the longest bridge in West Africa? The Third Mainland Bridge. So if you're fixing the entire Third Mainland Bridge with reinforcements and level the entire thing with that amount alone, and they're fixing just, did you see the portion that was crashed with the ship in Maryland? It was very little, and they're using $2 billion.
Bridge in Nigeria.
And that's what I'm telling you.
My question was, this bridge was renovated 9 months ago. So it now seeks to ask the fundamental question. Yes. So the renovation that was done 9 months ago, so were the materials used substandard? Why do we need to renovate it again?
I feel like the bridge was opened prematurely. If you remember, there was a lot of talks and everything. Everyone opened the bridge, we're suffering, we can't get to work. There's only majorly 2 bridges, the Core Bridge and the Third Mainland Bridge used to connect the island to the mainland. So I think it was opened prematurely. I don't think they were done with everything they ought to have done.
No, it wasn't opened prematurely. It was opened when it was supposed to be opened.
No, it was.
And we saw how we applauded the renovation.
No,
and as we speak right now, maintenance has been a big issue because even some of the traffic lights that were fixed before are no longer working.
On the Third Mainland Bridge?
On the Third Mainland Bridge.
There's no traffic light on the Third Mainland Bridge.
Pardon me, the street lights, that's what I wanted to say, pardon me.
With the solar panels. They are working, but they're not working fully. And now they were supposed to not just fix the potholes, which was the major problem people thought with the Third Mainland Bridge, but then that Third Mainland Bridge, the main problem was the reinforcements into the water itself, with the line piping and everything. So that's what they want to do now.
Okay, so let's even get back, we're going to get back to that conversation, but let's talk about the present leadership. And yes, full subsidy was removed. Rightly so. A lot of people would agree. However, we have not seen the effects on the masses. Why is that?
So again, I feel like it's easy to not be so happy with the government with their track record. But just recently, this year, we paid up $3.4 billion to the IMF. We were considered debt-free. I don't know if you knew about that. That's the first time that has almost ever happened. So you can say that that entire money went to that. And now, when there's no government, I think everybody who contested for presidency, all of them stated that they were going to take away subsidy. It's one thing that you cannot keep. You can't be paying subsidy in hopes to grow as a nation. It's not possible. So they will all take away subsidy. And the honest truth about it is that the growth that they're going to make and the money they would save will not be seen with visual eyes.
Where would it be seen? Because
it will be seen
let me
by
give you the
paying of
statistics.
loans.
21%
Yes.
inflation as of July 2025,
Okay.
right? Food inflation rose 22.74% from
Okay.
July. And in June, it was 21.9%, right? Out of school children, 10.2 million primary school age children are out of school.
Okay.
More alarming figures bring the total to 18.95 million out of school children, all right?
Okay.
Now, northern states like Kano, Katsina, Jigawa account for over 3 million primary age children not in school.
So,
Phil, of course, we all know the politics that went down with the petroleum sector.
okay.
And how Dangote had to constantly say, oh, we want to sell fuel at a cheaper rate, but this is what's happening with the cabal. This is what happened with the oil
Allegedly.
sector, allegedly. So now fuel is still very expensive. Transportation is still at an all-time high. The citizens are not feeling it.
You're clearly a smart person, so I'd ask you this. If you want to grow a nation, if you want to grow anything that's already having a problem, what do? Do you pad it? Do you patch it? No, you break it down to the floor.
All right.
And you start again.
So we break it down to the floor. However, as a leader, I would share the pain of the people. We cut down the cost of governance. Why does a senator need to have about 30 cars as part of their convoys? Why? Look at the allocation. We never heard of a reduction in their salaries. We never heard of a cut down in the government expenditure.
Okay. You never heard it, but there was.
Please, enlighten us.
There was.
No, enlighten Nigerians.
And the 30 cars you're talking about, you see those 30 cars, it's not the government. It can be from their own personal money.
No.
It
It is right there in the National Assembly's budget.
No.
It is not hidden. It is
No.
clearly stated.
Maybe after this
and
you
let's not
show
even
me.
talk about the fact that even if they want to purchase cars, we have the Innocent that produces locally made cars, locally made vehicles. But we would rather just, patronize the Toyotas as opposed to trying to bring the money back into the economy.
Innocent right now, almost every force person, Navy, the Army, the Marines, everyone, they're using mostly innocent cars. I would have you know that. The judges, everyone, even the government, they all have innocent cars.
So are you
they're not going to
tell
patronize
me
them in 100%.
that there has not been an increase in government spending, an increase in government expenditure? Have we not borrowed? Is this government not the highest borrowing government ever?
It is.
Why?
It
so
is.
if we're saving money from fuel subsidy, why are we borrowing so much?
It wasn't, fuel subsidy was not the only leakage. There was a lot of other things to be done. Do you understand? A lot of other sectors that are not being tapped into. Agriculture, for instance. There are already incentives, a lot of things that's going to be done there. There's energy, there's maritime. Do you understand it? So there are already things that you're doing in the long run and long scale, which would not be manifested. I don't know who can be president that would ever, it's not magic. It would not be manifested in 2 years, even 4 years. Do you understand it? So I think we should not be sentimental in the whole thing. I take, for instance, I acknowledge, and you're right, and saying how difficult the country is for everyone and this and this. It's exactly what it is. But just like I said, if you want to fix a broken economy, you have to start from the scratch. And maybe somewhere we can be touched to trust in the process. The answer now is, can you trust in the process?
Well, from a personal point of view, I would really love to trust the process. However, I just believe that communication is very important, and I feel like this present government have not been able to communicate properly. Reasons being that, I'm not just talking about verbal communication. I'm talking about body language.
Yes.
You need to be able to show that you can make sacrifices as well.
True.
So we understand where the nation was. We understood the need for the removal of subsidy. But all I'm saying is, as a leader, you know, you need to be able to show the citizens that you are not alone in this. And the same way we expect you to bear the brunt of it, we should also bear the brunt of it. Or at least show you that we are trying our best to bear the brunt of this as well. Cuts down the cost of governance, cuts down the number of officials. You see a government official having 10 essays, 10 PAs, you know, just I feel like there's
It's not the same
of
everywhere in
waste.
the world.
There's a lot of waste in the government. There's a lot of waste. But you know what? We're going to get back to that conversation because, of course, there are other areas I feel like we should also concentrate on, like the environment, maritime. We see that we're having issues of flooding in different parts of Nigeria. Our waters are polluted. What do you think should really be done in that sector?
Like I mentioned earlier, I said, let's not be sentimental about a lot of things. The government is not going to do magic. I feel like it starts from everybody. The problem with this country is not solely the government. The people play a very big role in the entire thing as a whole. Now, you'd see on the road, I'm sure you're aware, you see people chew bananas, biscuit wrappers, everything, throw it into the water. Even new gutters, properly cleaned, they will throw it into there. Even with fines written above, 50,000 naira fine, they will throw it into there. When the rain comes, the flood will start. That's for the minimal flood. Now, if you're talking about the bigger one, natural disasters, I think even powerful countries as the US still face that till today. There's nothing anyone can do about it. The only thing you can do as the government, just like the US will probably do, is with FEMA, making sure that the agencies that will take care of those people after those things happen, they are properly done. Do you understand it? And you're sure that the below average man would benefit from it and his life will not be entirely destroyed and he has to start afresh. You understand it? But I don't think that's something that the government has a control over. Because if, for instance, you see them beaten, okay, Wike was destroying houses that were built atop drainage ways. What did the people say? They were not happy about it. But what he's doing is going to be beneficial in the long run. But like I said, we are very sentimental with the way we think. Do you get this? So at the end of the day, rather than always blaming the government for every little thing, I feel like on our own, we can actually think for ourselves and think the change starts with you. How do I make my country better? Do you understand it?
Yeah, totally. Now, do you also think that we're utilizing our waterways as much as we should? Because I feel like that could be an alternative means of transportation. So how do you think we can be able to improve infrastructure in that area?
So we are already utilizing our waterways.
I'm aware.
Lagos is overly connected by water. You can go from Festac to Apapa to Ikorodu. You can go to Lekki. You can go to Badore, Naja.
Yeah, but the question is how safe?
It's very safe. How many times do you have an accident on the water? When an accident happens, it makes the news because it's not common. Do you understand it? With how many times you hear of an accident on the road? It happens almost every other Tuesday. Do you understand it? So I think for another thing, again, even when you even come down to business on water, people think of business on water as big man business. Nobody wants to go into it. If I ask you how much you think a boat is, you probably don't know. If I ask you how much you think a dredger is, you probably don't know. If I ask you how much you think a tugboat is, you probably don't know. So it's that type of thing where I think we should broaden our minds, put it into your everyday cost of living.
All right.
You understand it? If you're coming to work now, you might say for 12, you're supposed to get in for 12, you're getting in for 1, and then they say, oh, what happened? You say Lagos traffic, and it's supposed to be understandable. But if you use the boat, probably in 20 minutes you're there, and it's already there. Right now, Sanwo-Olu them opened the Omni bus. I don't know if you know about it. It's a boat that carries almost about 20-something people, basically, and they released like how many of them. The A1 series for the first time ever is coming to Africa in Lagos. It's going to be the first time and it's on water. So you understand it? We're doing so well. We're doing so well.
Thank you so much for coming on the program.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Robbie Mind will continue after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Robin Minds. Now we want to move on from politics to entertainment And in the studio, I have a very important personality. I like to call him the man that constantly evolves. You know, if you remember the song "We Are Africans," we are Africans. Africans are who? The man behind that hit song, who has now evolved from being just a musician to one of the most powerful filmmakers telling the African stories the right way, is in the studio. JJC Skills.
Thank you very much.
So good to see you.
The pleasure is all mine.
I genuinely think that you don't get enough flowers for the incredible work that you do. So I just want to take out this time to say we appreciate you.
Thank you.
We've followed the journey, and you show a lot of young people that yes, it is possible.
Yes.
You can do it. You can constantly evolve. You can constantly be relevant. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much.
And then that leads me to my first question. How have you been able to constantly evolve to not just remain relevant in the entertainment space, but to provide value?
Okay, so I grew up with the background of literally homeboy. So I spent the majority of my time at home, and most importantly, studying. I keep learning new technology. I mean, when I studied TV and video production, but when we did, back then, we used manual studios. But after leaving education, I started studying. I went digital. I learned how to use all the equipment. So literally, I went from, even in music, I went from MP3, from vinyls to CDs, from CDs to MP3s, and now we're in streaming. So I've been able to just keep on learning, and I think evolve or die. So once you see that it's getting saturated, what's next? Learn it and evolve.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And at what point did you decide that, you know what, music is great, but I think I want to throw my hat into making movies?
Okay, so as I said, I studied TV and video production. And from as far back as I can remember, I've been shooting music videos. And I even shot Kamakazi for Kentro, Olumentain. I did the Bobby FC for DJ Z's. I've been shooting videos for years. Even my We Are Africans videos, shot all of those myself. But after doing African Skank in 2011, I realized that again, the music was becoming I was getting too old for the young scene. So I knew that it was time to evolve. So I packed my bags and I moved into Nollywood. Unfortunately, I met a partner of mine that we just kept on hammering good content for Nigeria.
How would you describe this relationship with this partner of yours, and how were you guys able to like build something really great?
I definitely believe that we were able to build an empire and totally change the mindset of people, so that when you think of comedy in Nigeria, you don't think of abroad anymore. You think Nigeria, something that you can connect to. And I was very passionate about telling stories that has to do with us and how we perceive life. And I think that's why we were able to do it.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge that you faced when you did the transition, and of course you became a full-time filmmaker? What was your biggest challenge?
Honestly, I can't say I had big challenges. Normal life, you know, you are starting again. Everyone, well, as the name, JJC. When I was in England, I was a JJC. I came back to Nigeria, I'm a JJC. I moved to Nollywood, I'm a JJC. So I didn't grow up with almost all the filmmakers or the people in the industry, but they know about me. So now they're like, you want to enter our space. So some couple doors are closed, but when people actually get to meet me and they get to know the kind of person I am, because I share freely, you know, information. Sharing is caring. I share information, and when they finally meet me, they know, okay.
So there was a bit of gatekeeping
Yes.
as at the time you delved into Nollywood.
Nollywood, Afrobeats, everything, there's gatekeepers at all levels.
So if you were to attribute like the successes that you've recorded to, let's just say like two people, who would those two people be?
Two people. I would definitely say DME. He was very open-minded and believed in me just like I believed in him from years ago. And definitely I would say Funke because she saw the talent, she saw the skills.
Amazing. So now, we all know, in fact, even your t-shirt is saying it.
Hakeem, seeking justice.
Everybody has been buzzing about it.
Yes.
We even had DME last week in the studio, and we're having a conversation about how challenging it was. So according to DME, this role challenged him so much and you pushed him so much. I was watching a clip on Instagram and I saw a particular stunt that he had to do, I think when he was coming down, and he had to do it a couple of times. So can you just really tell us the production challenges, creating in Nigeria?
Honestly, when I wrote the script and I presented it to DME and all the actors, first thing DME said to me was, this is not possible. This is impossible. How can we do this? And I'm like, bro, we plan and we will succeed. That scene that you're talking about, I actually gave up on that scene. I didn't want to do it anymore because at that same period there was Junior Pope issue was online, and they were talking about how producers put the actors' lives at risk and everything. So I was like, Demi, no, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. Demi was like, what? This scene, I'm going to do it. There's no scene like this in any Nigerian film. And that's actually what we tried to do in this film. We tried so hard to create things that we normally associate with Hollywood, but now we have brought it home. So yes, that scene was challenging, but my biggest challenge was the car stunt scene. If you watch the film, you'll be blown away. We were driving around Abuja at night doing all kind of stunts. To do that, the artist, SODK, had to leave 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was shooting from like 1 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, we're not done yet. And I was thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I thought about my old school background. I shot all the scenes of SO inside the car. And as soon as we were done with his scenes, we let him go to the airport. 2 weeks later, we came back and shot everything outside of the car. So it was a very tasking process, but I was able to do it. Yeah.
I like the fact that you described how challenging the process was. Yeah. Now, do you think artificial intelligence, could possibly help these stunts? And how realistic will it be? And a lot of people are of the opinion that artificial intelligence is coming to take a lot of people's jobs, including the cinematographers, including the stuntsmen and all of that. Okay. What's your take on that?
I am extremely scared of AI, but I have embraced it because just like I said to you, when something new is coming out, I'm at the forefront. I use AI for my marketing. I'm sure majority of the people that follow my social media will see all these characters I've been creating of DME, Zubi, and everyone's thinking, is your movie an AI movie? I said, no. This is a promotional tool. AI right now, I think, is at that level where we can use it for promotion, marketing, advertisement. But for a real film, I don't think AI is there yet. It's not human enough. And the characteristics are not consistent. So you can create a scene, for instance, I can create a scene with, let's say, DME, but to continue that same scene of having the same face, same tonation, everything, no, it's not there yet.
Okay. Now, your film has been in the cinemas.
Yes.
And, one of the conversations I was having with you before we went on air was how pricey tickets are.
Yes.
And this is speaking generally, because obviously the film houses and the rest of the film house control these things. And again, you can't take away the economy from why these tickets are so expensive. So how do you think we can strike the balance to maintain the cinema culture? How do we get more people to see films at the cinemas?
Okay, this has many levels. So for instance, number one, yes, it's too expensive, especially with the state of the economy. People are struggling financially. On the other hand, when I went to the cinema, I found a lot of people were still going to the cinema, but they were watching American films. They were watching the Fantastic Fours and the Supermans and blah, blah, blah. And literally, I had to as soon as I leave here, I'm going back to the cinemas. I'm right there at the ticket hall telling people, Nigeria has upgraded. Believe in us. Watch it. Look, for everyone out there, I'm going to Ikeja now. Meet me. If you watch this film and you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. Money back guaranteed. And I did this thing several times at the cinema. I'll stay there, I'll tell them, okay, you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go and watch the film. I'm waiting for you. Since I convinced you, when you come out, if you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. So I believe that Nigerians need to actually improve, which we are doing now, to give the people value for money. Yeah, but again, the price needs to go down a little bit.
There's a conversation that started recently, I think it was Nee, that suggested that perhaps we should consider advertisements mid-movies in cinemas. Hopefully we can beat the prices down and then the advertisers can augment for the monies that the cinema houses will potentially be losing. Also, conversations around the sharing ratio. How much goes to the filmmaker at the end of the day?
Okay. That's 2 questions here.
2 questions, yes,
okay.
because we're running out of time. We need to
All
wrap
right,
up.
so regarding the share that the producers get or the filmmakers, I think it's horrible. It's a situation of monkey they walk, bamboo they chop, as they say. We had put in a lot of work. Like, for instance, the the houses are taking, let's say, 70% on some days, 60% on some days. And by the time we pay taxes of 22% or something, literally we're left with nothing. And we have to do the filmmaking and sell the film because even the distribution companies are not out there selling it for you. So literally, we are stuck in a very, very horrible place. And the hope for a better day was with the fact that streaming companies have come to Nigeria.
Yeah.
But they've left. So now we're kind of like back to, okay, should we put our money into it? Would we get our money back? Because at the end of the day, it's a business. And yeah, the creativity is getting killed. Now, going back to your other question, you said sponsors.
Yes.
Unfortunately for that, you're going to lose creativity because sponsors are not going to give you money and let you do what you want to do. They're going to control your script. They're going to see every single thing you say, every single line, and then they're going to change your story, which means that you are doing an advert instead of doing creativity.
So what he was suggesting, the filmmaker Nee was suggesting was, I mean, you have your complete movie, just like when you're watching films on YouTube.
Break it.
Yes, so maybe at the 30-minute interval, you just put like a 30-second ad, you know?
I'll ask you this question. Does any Nigerian person want that? No. I don't want it. I don't want it. It's annoying when I'm even watching YouTube and I'm seeing the things coming up.
I would gladly pay 2,000 naira to watch a movie with ads.
Okay.
So if you want to watch a movie without ads, you pay the premium price.
So you go to a different screen.
You go to a different screen. So
okay, what about the cinemas? Majority of the cinemas that don't have enough screen. Because like, it's like a musical chair. They'll show 2 American films and 2 Nigerian films. Let's say majority of the cinemas have like 4 screens. 2 Nigerians and 2, and how many Nigerian films are coming out every week? Like we have like 3, 4, 5. So they're actually selective about what they put on. And they'll put you on for a while, they take you off, carry another one, put it on. So you're not getting the rotation. Now, if you say you want to drop the price, would Americans agree? They won't. Because they already have a budget that they want to, they have a quota
yes.
that they want to meet up with. And Nigeria has been hit with the bill. What do we do? But you know what, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. If something comes up like that, I'm game.
All right, thank you so much, GGC Skills. And of course, I'll definitely be at the cinema. And if I watch that movie and I don't like it, you will give me my
money back guaranteed.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us on Rubbing Minds. My name is Hero Daniels, and till I catch you next week, stay good.